Thank you all for tuning in to the Kearney Math Show. Today on the Kearney Math Show, we are featuring Unit 6 Mini Lesson 3, in which we will be writing equations and graphing in slope-intercept form. So thank you all for tuning in today. Glad you all could be here. Take just a moment, and at the top of your mini lesson, go ahead and make a note that this is entry number 4. This is entry number 4. I want to make sure that your table of contents is updated. So at some point today, when you have a spare minute, just go ahead and look at the backboard and go ahead and update that table of contents. So just to recap, we talked about slope last week. So we're just going to be taking it to the next level and doing a little bit more with slope. And actually, we're going to be doing a lot of what you've seen in the video. Okay, that crazy graphing video we've been watching. You're going to see a lot of what you've seen in that video in today's mini lesson. So take a moment and read your learning goal. Perfect. So by the end of today, what I want you guys to be able to do is I want you to be able to take an equation that's in slope-intercept form and graph it, or I want you to be able to take a graph and write an equation in slope-intercept form. So today that's our big key today, slope-intercept form. So last week we talked about slope. And remember, we talked about slope was the ratio of comparing a number's rise or a line's rise to its run. And it's that constant rate of change. So we're going to be looking a little more at that today and seeing how that can help us graph a line. So the big important thing that I want you to take away from today is this slope-intercept form right here, okay? So anytime you hear someone say, please write that in slope-intercept form, they are meaning in this form y equals mx plus b, okay? So y equals mx plus b. And what I do to help me remember that is when I was actually in high school, I had a teacher that she would teach us to sing the YMCA. So it would go, y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. You're welcome for your little bit of entertainment there. So let's talk about what that y equals mx plus b. So first of all, just look at that x and y. That x and y are exactly what they've always been. We haven't changed anything. X and y are still coordinates. So that means that I could pick any point on that line and plug into this equation and make it work. So that x and y could be any coordinates on that line. So x and y is any point that is on the line of the given equation. Okay? So that takes care of my x and my y. X and y. Or y and x. Okay, now the important thing here, m, is something we've already been talking about. That m is the slope. Okay? And just to recap, we said that slope can be defined as the constant rate of change. Okay, we want to know how much is that line changing. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is there no change? Is it undefined? That slope tells us by what rate is it changing. Now the b, which you're just being introduced to today, b is the y-intercept. So when you look at that word or hear that word y-intercept, what does that sound like? Well, for me, it sounds like intersect. So it's where it intersects the y-axis. So B is where the line intersects the y-axis. Okay? So y equals mx plus b. That m tells me what the slope is. That b tells me where it crosses that y-axis. So where it's going to be shooting across the graph across the y-axis. So just to recap, here we go. Ready? You ready to sing? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, so now let's talk about how we can use that. So come down to the example. Our directions say right here, where I'm reading my directions, that we're going to write each linear equation in slope-intercept form and then graph it. Okay? So what they've given us for number one is they've given us the M, which we said was the slope. They've given us the B, which is the y-intercept. Now what we have to do is we have to write the equation, and then we have to graph it. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So first of all, we know that my equation needs to be in the form of y equals mx plus b. And I haven't really chosen any coordinates, so I'm still going to do y equals, and now I want to put my m in there. So my m, we said, was 1/2, so I'm going to do 1/2 times x, so y equals mx, so 1/2 times x, and then my b. Okay, if you look here, you might be kind of confused because you're thinking, well, that's a coordinate. Well, the reason why that's a coordinate is because it's saying in order for it to cross the y-axis, think about when a line crosses the y-axis, what does its x value have to be? For this one, where it crosses the y-axis is down here at -4. So that means that x value has to be 0. Anytime you have a y-intercept, the x value is going to always be 0 because in order for it to cross the y-axis, that x has to be 0. So since I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that my b is saying is -4. So two things. You can either do plus -4, so y equals mx plus b, so 1/2 x plus -4. Or for me personally, I might just write y equals 1/2 x, and since it's plus a -4, I might just put -4. Okay, because plus a -4 and -4 are the same thing. So I've written my equation, now I've got to graph it. So the first step of graphing it is you're going to first, just like the video says, do the intercept. Do the intercept. So you're going to put a point where the intercept is. So you're going to put a point where the y-intercept is. So that y-intercept is at -4. And now all I have to do, guys, is I have to just use my slope, and I'm just going to rise and run. So my slope is 1/2. Now remember, slope is rise over run. So since I said my slope was 1/2 up here, that means I'm going to rise 1 and then run 2. So I'm going to go up 1 and then over 2 and put my next point. And then I can keep doing that. Up 1, over 2. Up 1, over 2. Or I can even go down 1, but then I have to go to the left 2 to keep that a positive line because we want it to be increasing from left to right. And don't forget to put that line through it with your arrows. Okay? So just to recap, I wrote it in y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form. It's got my slope and it's got my intercept. And then I put my point at my y-intercept, and then I use my slope to graph it from there. Okay? So I'm going to do one more with you, and then I think you guys are good to go. So let's look at number 3. So just to recap, y equals mx plus b. So when I write my equation, I'm going to do y equals, then my m is -3, so I'm going to do -3 times x. My b crosses at 6. So since it's a positive 6, I'm going to put plus 6. So y equals -3x plus 6, and now I just have to graph it. So the first step, always put your point at the y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 6. Okay, so I'm going to put my first point at positive 6. And then my slope is -3. So let's think about it like this. Rise over run. If my slope is -3, what can I put -3 over that won't change it? I'm going to put -3 over 1. So that means from that point, since it's -3, my rise is actually going to be kind of like a fall. So I'm going to go down 3 since it's negative. So 1, 2, 3. And then since it's a positive 1, I'm going to run to the right. So rise and then run. So then go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1. And then you just connect your dots, and you got your line, and put those arrows to show that that line is going to continue on and on and on. Okay? So just to recap, we talked about slope-intercept form. The two things that slope-intercept form really tells you about a graph is exactly what it sounds like. It tells you the slope, and you can quickly see what the y-intercept is. So that form is y equals mx plus b. And to graph it, first thing, you're going to put your point on the y-intercept, graph that, and then use your slope to rise and then run, and then connect your dots. And that's it, guys. So what I want you to do now is I want you working with a partner, working with someone around you, just so you have someone to check in with. Go ahead and try the next several practice problems, okay? All those practice problems on the front, and then get as many done as you can and go check the answer key and see how you're doing. And if you have any questions at all, you're going to get to ask me when you come to my station, okay? So good luck, and I can't wait to see your lines that you graph. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Kearney Math Show today, and I hope to see you all on the next episode. Thank you all, and have a great day. Peace out, Rainbow Trout. Love you, mean it. XOXO.